Good morning, everyone. In a little bit, it's good afternoon. My name is Manal Hayish, and today we're going to be talking about e-cigarettes and pod-based systems. Ramadan Mubarak, everyone. And many of you guys have probably heard about e-cigarettes, specifically pod-based e-cigarettes, like Juul, um, Puff Bar, Fix, Smoke, Enjoy, Views, and Suryan. They have grown in popularity, but many users may wrongly believe that these are harmless devices. We are going to talk about why many health professionals are concerned about these devices and these new nicotine delivery systems. Next slide. The e-cigarettes are made of a battery. We have a picture here. If we can click, e-cigarettes are made of a battery and atomizer with a heating coil. We can also click again and absorbent material, also absorbent material, and another click. And here we see that the absorbent material absorbs a liquid that contains nicotine and the flavor and the chemical or the flavoring chemical. So also if we can click again, yeah, let's just go back. Zainab, thank you. To the previous slide, please. Yes, thank you. So here we see the battery, the atomizer, and the coil. Okay, and this is the absorbent. So this one holds the chemical and the nicotine and the flavor. Okay, some of these devices are preloaded with the e-juice. So the battery allows the atomizer to heat the liquid called e-juice, which creates an aerosol that is breathed into the lungs and breathed out into the air repeatedly. Some of these devices are preloaded with e-juices and some require the users to add it. The original e-cigarettes and vape pens looked like a cigarette and it came preloaded and were disposable. So they used to use it once and then throw it away. Later, the e-cigarette devices looked either like pens or contain more bulky battery boxes known as mods. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. If we can just click on it until like everything shows on the screen. Zainab, thank you. Thanks. So the pod-based cigarettes are a current type of e-cigarettes. They are usually made up of two components. The part here, there's a part of the battery that can be charged, and the other part is the cartridge or the pods. And some of the cartridges can be replaced, as we said, and can be refilled, and some of them are only for one use. So these flavors and cartridges colors are concerning since they attract younger people. So they put the e-juices in there. They have so many different flavors, all the flavors that young people like and young teenagers and the youth, they like all the flavors, all fruity flavors, candy flavors. That's how they get attracted to the vapes, especially when they started saying that um, the vapes have like zero nicotine, and that was a false advertising from specific companies. Even if it has zero nicotine in there, it has a lot of chemicals, and those chemicals are very harmful for the youth and the youth and the adults' health, of course, and lungs. So as we see here, the smaller part here is the cartridge that has the flavor, and the one on the left here, the longer one, it's the battery. So the nicotine is in the cartridge. So the nicotine chemical is in the cartridge, in the chemical, in the liquid chemical. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So our biggest concern with pods based e-cigarettes among young people is that they can deliver up to the same amount of nicotine released from 1.5 to 3.5 packs of cigarettes. So we're gonna see how much nicotine each pack of cigarette has, and each cigarette has, and how much nicotine the vape has as well. So all salt-based e-juices, so the ones on the left here, it says salt-based, these three, yeah. Okay, these three are all salt-based. These ones are free-based, these one are free-based nicotine. So the products with the free-based, although some e-juices may not contain nicotine, all salt-based e-juices contain nicotine. So the free ones, they're saying that they don't have the free-based nicotine. They're claiming that they have no nicotine in there. All the salt-based ones do have nicotine in them. So for example, the Juul pods, the Puff Bar, and Eon Stick, these three sticks contain salt-based nicotine. The products with salt-based nicotine can allow for more frequent use, increasing their potential for addiction because it feels less harsh on the throat. Each Juul pod contains 41.3 milligrams of nicotine, which is extremely high compared to the other tobacco and nicotine products. Also, the Puff Bar holds even more nicotine, and it carries 50 milligrams, while Eon Stick is loaded with 68 milligrams of nicotine. So these salt-based ones have a lot of nicotine in them, and a lot of people, a lot of parents, they think that the vapes are less harmful for their kids. It's not. It's actually, it has a lot more nicotine in there, and it has a lot more chemicals in there. And since it's flavored, the youth, um, they try even more. They consume it more than the cigarettes. So Juul pods and puff bars and Eon sticks are disposable, as we mentioned, and not made to be refilled, unlike other e-cigarettes, the one on the right. This further contributes to plastic and toxic pollution. Imagine other than the nicotine and the other chemicals, um, which are, of course, the plastic and the toxic pollution in the environment. So people are um, which are public health concerns, and all of us are concerned because how bad it can affect not only our children, it can affect the environment as well. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so it's just water. So a lot of youth, a lot of teens, they say, "Oh, it's just a water vapor." No, it's not just a water vapor. For so many years, consumers were told that the clouds made by e-cigarettes and vape pens was just water vapor, Do you guys think that's true? Let's yeah. It's not true. So e-cigarettes and vape pens allow the user to make large clouds that many think are just water vapor. And a lot of youth, they think that it's cool. This is how they get attracted to it also. They get attracted to that, to the amount of smoke that it makes, and they think that it's cool since they like the risky behaviors. And they want, a lot of youth, they just want to try it. They want to go like make a like a big huge smoke out with that cigarette. It's not just the water vapor. There's a lot of chemicals in that smoke that's coming out, and it hurts also the people that's around the person that smokes. And it's called secondhand smoking. So you're not only vaping, you're not only hurting yourself, or your child is not only your child is not only hurting themselves, they're also hurting other people. Just like the person that smokes cigarettes, they don't only like hurt themselves, they hurt all the people that are in the same room or in the same place um, that are breathing the same air. So, as we said, in reality, the cloud is a mixture of many different chemicals that were either present in the e-liquid by in the e-liquid before, or produced during the heating process. So when they press on the vape, they have to, since it works on a battery, so they have to press and turn the battery on for it to heat the liquid, which is the chemical that's in the vape. So so that chemical is what like is what making them like be able to absorb that gas and then let it out as well. Um, so a vapor is a chemical that has evaporated, as we said, and an aerosol is a mixture of liquid particles um, suspended in a gas and can contain many chemicals. Instead of just mixing what Instead of just mixing with the air like a pure gas, aerosols can leave drops behind. So also it also can have can lead up to, it's called third hand smoking as well, which when a person smokes, if they smoke a cigarette or they smoke an electronic cigarette or a vape, um, the smoke that comes out can stay like on furnitures. It can stay on the walls. It can stay on the curtains. This is called, and the people that get into the room and smell it, and like this, you sit on a couch and you say, "Oh, this couch smells like cigarettes." It's because the nicotine and the chemicals are there, are on the furniture and are on the curtains and in the room. Sometimes, like in cars, you get in a car and you smell, you say, this car smells like someone was smoking here, because the residue and the chemical is on the the surface of the car and the furniture in the car, the seats. We can go to the next slide. So here's a list of chemicals found in regular cigarettes. All these chemicals, and these are all harmful chemicals. In the next one, we can move to the next one. All these chemicals have been found in the electronic cigarettes or the pod-based aerosol. So the ones we can click one time, one more time. So these orange ones, the orange ones are known to be harmful, and it was determined by the government um, and by the FDA specific. And while we did not know this at first. Many of these are the same chemicals found in traditional cigarettes. Simply put, e-cigarettes, simply put, electronic cigarettes produce an aerosol that often contain many harmful chemicals and toxins, some known to cause cancer. So the nicotine itself is a highly addictive compound, and while not all contain nicotine, all have many of these chemicals and toxins. So here there's more than 59 chemicals. These are all um, these are all toxic, and these are all chemicals and toxins. We can move to the next slide. Okay. So what's in that pod? Just give me a second. Um, let's see. Okay. So based on what we know about electronic cigarettes or e-juices, also they call them e-juices. So because it's liquid inside, it's a chemical, right? But it's flavored. So when the youth they want to purchase a vape or they hear that it's an e-juice, they get even more attractive to it. Oh yeah, juice, it's sweet, it's flavored. So this is how the advertising companies, also the tobacco and vape companies, this is how they advertise for their products. When they're not going to come to they're not going to go to the youth and tell them, here, take this is poison for you, or this is poisonous. No, they will tell them, they will sugarcoat it, right? And then they will tell them, here, take this, try it, it has flavors in it. If it has, for example, strawberry flavor or any other fruit flavors, other candy flavors, right? So they're not going to come and tell them, here, this is a poison, take it. No, they're going to tell them, here, smoke this. Try this. It's a strawberry flavored cigarette, right? Or strawberry flavored vape. So what's in the pod? So labs showed that it has, of course, the nicotine, right? Especially like, let's talk about Juul. The Juul labs report as being what they reported that the ingredients of their Juul pod is, or are, what are the ingredients of it? It has nicotine. It's the addictive chemical in all pods. It has benzoic acid, and which pairs up with the nicotine to help deliver high amounts of nicotine to the brain. Also, it has, let me see, it has glycerol and propylene, excuse me, glycol. So it's a common ingredient found in most e-juices, and the propylene glycol is not approved by the government for inhaling. It's very dangerous, just like all other chemicals. Okay, and the other chemicals include natural gas, extracts and flavors, and these are all the flavors hurt the lungs, and unfortunately, they don't know that, they don't tell them that these flavors, these fruit flavors or all other flavors hurt their lungs. Let's move to the next one. Thank you. So, okay. So we did talk about the second hand. Let's see, was I sharing something else? No. Okay. So let's move to slide 10. Okay, thank you. So we did talk about secondhand smoke and secondhand aerosol, and we did talk about, um, so let's see, we did talk about third-hand aerosol as well. It's the third-hand smoke and secondhand smoke. Okay, let me just mention some more thing here. So secondhand aerosol is similar to secondhand smoke, is the plume of chemicals released into the environment directly from the e-cigarette or the pod-based device and from the lungs of the user. So common places for exposure to secondhand aerosol includes restaurant, parks, vehicles, and designated smoking areas. Chemicals that are released include harmful substances such as nicotine and all heavy and other heavy metals and chemicals. And we did say that exposure to secondhand aerosol can lead to cancer, respiratory infections, and make someone's asthma worse among other problems. The third hand aerosol slide, the next slide, please. Thank you. So another way that e-cigarettes, we did say, is dangerous for to people is called the third-hand aerosol. As we said, if you smell it in a room or you smell it on a couch or next to furniture or in a car, that means the chemical is there. That means the nicotine and other chemicals can get, when you breathe, it can get into your body, it can get into your lungs, and it can affect you as well. Next slide, please. So in the past, in the recent past, electronic liquid or e-liquid was federally unregulated and often mislabeled. When many of the juices were tested, some that claimed to have zero nicotine had nicotine in them. That's why um, the companies were banned from selling their products. Which, for example, like Juul, it was banned from selling their products for I believe like 2 years. And then and the amount they said that they had it was not always true. While we are starting to see quite a bit of local and school regulations, there are zero guidelines corporations must follow regarding their products. So we know that like for in schools, there it's not allowed to smoke vape, it's not allowed to smoke any kind of cigarettes, and smoking is not allowed. But unfortunately, there's no rules to for the corporations themselves, for the companies that are making the products for them to follow. So since there are no federal regulations on these products, there are no child safety precautions on the caps, making them dangerous to others beside the user. So that's why we have to um, keep advocating for our children, and that we need more rules, we need more regulations for these products to be banned. Next slide, please. Okay, so the cigarettes in a pod, we're gonna see like the difference between the cigarette and just thing, the cigarettes and the pod. So how many cigarettes are in a pod? Let's see. Just okay. So one pack of cigarette. Let's see here. 1 second. Okay, so this slide it shows one pack of cigarette has 26. One pack of cigarette has 20 cigarettes, right? The here it shows that one Juul pod, how many nicotine is in there. Okay, there's 1 milligram of nicotine absorption per cigarette. So about 20 milligram of nicotine delivered to the body from a whole pack of cigarette. Okay, so the Juul Labs, and it shows that one Juul pod contains 41.3 milligrams of nicotine in there, which is 2 packs of cigarette in one Juul pod. Okay, and here there's more examples of other companies and other pods. Okay, um, as mentioned before, this is a high amount of nicotine and can be intense for first-time users. So our concerns is that young people are being introduced to a high amount of nicotine, which can harm their body and harm their health and their lungs. And also here are like so many other ones. For example, Sirion, it has um, it has 90 milligrams of nicotine, which is 90 cigarettes. Okay, it's 4.5 packs of cigarettes, and this is a lot. This is too much for them to handle. Um, very, very dangerous. Next slide, please. Um, okay. Can we go to slide 14? Is this slide 14? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that one. Okay. In order to understand how nicotine is good at creating addiction. Okay, so the brain and nicotine, sorry about that. The brain and nicotine. So in order to understand how nicotine is good at creating addiction, we must know how it takes advantage of our brain. Okay, so nicotine mimics a chemical that our brains produce naturally and easily. Okay, and it easily binds to receptors in the brain that are made for that chemical. When those receptors get filled with nicotine, it sets off a chain reaction that leads to the brain feel um, uh, like pleasured. Okay, so it releases the dopamine. Okay, that's why. Why do you guys think that our brain have evolved to feel pleasure? Okay, because pleasure is necessary for survival because it encourages us to do activities that keeps us alive, like eating, sleeping, and building relationships. However, no matter what kind of device it comes from, nicotine hijacks this pleasure pathway and tricks the brain into interpreting the chemical signal as pleasurable and necessary for survival. Um, that's why the continuing to use the nicotine leads to addiction. Okay, because people will say, or the youth will say, whoever smokes the cigarette and the electronic cigarette, they'll say, okay, every time like I smoked, oh, um, it feels good to smoke the first time, and then they try it after that and after. So every time they have more and more dopamine, because they have more nicotine in their brain and in their body. That's why their body can no longer produce the dopamine because there's more nicotine in there. So that's what addiction is. This means that the nicotine turns your brain against you so that you feel forced to keep using nicotine just to feel normal. Um, let's say in another way to think about nicotine is like termites coming into your home. Your home is a structure that is already built for you and you feel safe. And the termites comes in and take advantage of the structure, um, turning the protective shelter into food for their colony. Okay, keep in mind, this effect is no accident. Companies wants the youth and wants people to get addicted to their product so they can go back and purchase their product and keep purchasing their product for many, many years in the future. Let's go to the next slide, please. So, excuse me. The body on nicotine. So, nicotine doesn't just have an effect on your brain, since there are receptors all over your body. So, here, what it does to the people, for example, using nicotine can make your heart beat faster because it activates your fight or flight response. Also, it can increase the acid reflux, and the nicotine in the salt e-liquids produces a faster heart rate than other non-nicotine salt e-liquid, as we said. You can go to the next slide. And that's why it makes changes in their brains. Um, just one thing to add on the previous slide. Not sure if I've mentioned it before in other slides, but the it makes changes to the brain. Why is it necessary for the youth and the teens to not smoke um, in that age or in early ages when they're teens and when they're um, under the age of 25? Because their brain isn't fully developed until the age of 25. Okay, so if they smoke before, then their brain is not going to get fully developed. They're going to have problems when growing and growing up. And we did talk about last time about smaller brains, smaller IQs, right, and more health issues as well. Okay. Along with the harms from nicotine on its own, we know that there are health risks from these products, right? The e-cigarettes aerosols enter the lungs, so it does harm the lungs. It does cause bronchitis. It does affect it does affect the ear. It does affect the eyes and the throat. It causes irritation. Um, the smoking the e-cigarettes cause irritation to to the ears and the eyes and the throats. Also, scientists are still studying how these aerosol chemicals impact the brain. We are only beginning to understand the long-term health effects of using e-cigarettes. Imagine it took 25 years to see the long term of the regular cigarettes. How many more years? Like, it will need at least 25 years for the scientists to prove and finish with enough studies about the vapes and the electronic cigarettes, right? So, since there isn't many research done on the electronic cigarettes and whatever they see or whatever they found, like all those chemicals can affect the body of like the teenagers and even the adults. Um, it's very dangerous for them, and it has all these chemicals are very dangerous for them. As we see here, studies have shown that e-cigarettes can damage the DNA. It can damage the heart. It can cause heart attacks and strokes, um, because the e-cigarette aerosol enters the lungs and leaves chemicals residue behind. The lungs cannot break down these chemicals, so they damage the air pathways and the air sacs that brings oxygen into the body. Over time, this can increase the risk of lung disease. And also, it was shown in studies that the aerosol does damage specific parts of your blood network, increasing the risk of heart disease. So, what it does to the lungs as well. So it causes inflammation and irritation of the pathways. Also, it weakens the immune response to infection. Um, Also, um, it causes destruction of air sacs in the lungs. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. Thank you. So the evidence that e-cigarettes, including products like Juul, increases the cardiovascular or heart risk is piling up. Um, the heart is the center of pumping the blood throughout, like to the whole body, right? Um, and since they're smoking, that's not fresh oxygen, so your cell needs oxygen to survive and work properly, right? That's why it's very important that um, the youth stay away and the teens stay away from smoking and vaping, because it will like they can't be like doing it will be hard for them to do more sports or to do sports or to even like walk up the stairs or run or play or do exercises or any of other sports. So what it does to the heart, it increases the risk of blood clotting. Also, it increases the stiffness of the blood vessels and decreases the blood flow throughout the body. Let's go to the next slide, please. So the e-cigarettes or vape pens industry knows that many of their customers are getting older and need to be replaced with new customers so that their business keeps going and they can keep making profit out of people, right? Then um, who is going to replace the old smokers, right? That's why they keep doing um, they keep changing their products. They keep making not regular cigarettes. Let's make the vapes and the electronic cigarettes and focus on things that the youth like more. Focus on the shapes of the cigarettes or the vapes. Focus on the flavors. Focus on um, for example, how to make vapes that can be sneaked into schools. That's why they may come into um, uh, highlighters, pens, pencils, smartwatches, smartphones. Okay, this is how they're gonna um, keep making profits out of the youth and out of the younger people. So when we said who's going to replace the old smokers, it's the young people, right? It's the young people, people like our kids, our teenagers, our especially like kids under the age of 25, or kids under the age of 18. The e-cigarettes and vape industry sees that young people are the perfect replacement customers because they get hooked up to all um, uh, those vapes and flavors and in their early ages. Uh, a lot of them they start from the age of 13, if not like the age of 10. Um, Here it shows that also 90% of adult smokers start before the age of 18. Okay, this is how they target the youth. When they advertise, they even advertise younger people smoking them, right? Um, they will not like, for example, they won't bring like um, or not they won't, but they will more often or usually they will let the younger adults promote for the vapes other than the older adults, right? The older adults they will be smoking cigarettes. Um, let's move to the next one, please. Thank you. So why do they add flavors? We did say that they add flavors into the vapes. Um, why would there be over 15,500 e-juice flavors option, such as bananas, honeys, watermelons, strawberries, Skittles, all these kinds? They just like see and check what the teens like, okay? What they like, what flavors they like, they put it into they make that chemical and they put it into their vapes. Okay. It is important to be aware that this is another example of the pod-based companies following well-known advertising strategies from big tobacco playbook. They want to make it more attractive to the youth. They want to make it more attractive to the teens. Let's move to the next slide, please. So here, when they're advertising, we can go to slide 22. Who's the target? Who's the target audience? Here, if you guys look at this ad, so what audience do you think this ad is targeting? Of course, the youth, right? They will say, okay, how does this woman in that ad have a youthful appearance? Um, they they make it like they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how the youth are thinking. Okay, look at this other picture. Let's click one more time. Look at this other picture. Here's another one. Here's another campaign of ads from a different pod-based e-cigarette brand. Um, who does this person like this one? Who does this person look like? Okay. Who does this person with the short hair look like? Like the Parkland student activists, they know what they're doing. They know who the youth are more attracted to. They follow them. That's why we have on social media there's influencers, and we're going to talk about them now in the next slide. Let's move to the next slide. Thank you. So look at this social media post. Okay, so who are they targeting? There has been increasing concerns around how young people have been targeted by these pod-based companies on social media. So the young social media influencers, they make sure to they pay them. For example, like the Jewel company, paid influencers to advertise for their products, right? So here it says, one influencer said, they liked my edgy style and that I appealed to the younger market. Okay. And that's how they let her advertise for the jewel. And then after, like now they don't, they have their own page and they advertise it by themselves. They don't advertise through influencer. That's the jewel company. Let's go to the next slide, please. Again, to the social media targeting. Um, okay, so they do put a lot of memes out there on social media. So problematic memes and cartoons are also distributed via Twitter and Instagram, right? Which gives youth the impression that uh, using it is okay. Using the vapes and using the electronic cigarettes are okay. So what is in this ad? What is it saying to the younger people, like this one here? Also, what about the next one? Let's see the next one. Okay, what about the last one? No, the slide before. Yeah, so all these memes, like it's telling them that it's okay. Okay, it's telling them that um uh the jewel equals the value of your life. Okay. Also the second one, it's telling them that it's a symbol of life. If we can just click one time on it. Oh, it doesn't show. Okay, like for example, like this one, this meme right here. Um, if it shows the youth that if you're not taking Jewel, um, like for the people that are not taking Jewel seriously or not taking Jewel addiction seriously, this is really how they get addicted to it. This is how it's gonna be. Okay. Um, How and why are these messages harmful? What is the problematic? What does it cause to the youth? Okay, um, what does it cause to the young people? Unfortunately, with the social media, it's very dangerous that um, the when the advertising companies, the tobacco and the vape advertising companies, they advertise through social media. There's no regulations there, so they just put it out there. Like the companies, like the jewel company, they just put it out there, and then the teens, they start like getting those memes and getting those ads and spreading them between their friends, right? Sharing them with everybody. That's how it gets like more popular. They start laughing about it. It becomes like a habit. It becomes that it's something okay. That's what the advertising company wants it to be, or the tobacco and the vaping company wants it to be. They want it to be okay. They want it to be a normal thing. Okay. They want people to get addicted to it. Let's move to the next slide, 25, please. Thank you. Okay, so here are some brands. Some of these brands, some of the brands behind these new products are actually the same corporations that produce traditional cigarettes. For example, um, the the Marlboro um, used to sell Mark 10, and Camel sells Views. Okay, so and the Newport company, this one, the first one, it sells Blue. So these companies, they knew that they not only have to target the adults, they have to target the youth. So their business keeps running and they keep making profit again. We can move to the next one, please. So let's wrap up by reviewing some of the different ways pod-based devices companies, especially Juul, have shown themselves to be big tobacco reinvented. So what big tobacco tactics have pod-based companies used? We did talk about the flavors. We did talk about the social media, advertising through social media. So they formulate their product to deliver as much nicotine as smoothly as possible to their customers. Okay, especially after the person gets addicted to it. The first When they first start smoking it, it's gonna cause like probably like they're gonna feel something like harsh in their throat, and then after that they will after they get addicted and after the first time and the first use, it will no longer be there, right? And also we did talk about introducing the flavors that are known to be attractive and harmful to the teens. Also, they used marketing strategies that are known to attract teens. We did talk about like the shapes. We did talk about all other flavors and um, advertising for it through social media. I hope you guys did learn a lot about this, the electronic cigarettes and the vapes. And I hope I added more information about what we already know. Thank you guys and have a nice day.
HES Academies have been serving the Detroit metro area for over 23 years, promoting academic excellence, leadership, and cultural diversity, ranking as some of the top schools in the state of Michigan. Our pre-K through 12th grade students enjoy tuition-free, state-accredited education by STEM certified and highly qualified staff with no geographical restrictions, and with advanced placement, college dual enrollment, scholarship, and Arabic language programs. Noor International Academy in Sterling Heights at niapsa.org, Star International Academy in Dearborn Heights and in Canton at starpsa.org, Universal Academy in Detroit at universalpsa.org, and Universal Learning Academy in Westland at ulapsa.org. Join HES Academies today and enjoy a free Chromebook for every enrolled student.